there. Thank you so much for joining us on Aso Morning this beautiful day. My name is Joy Asanye, welcoming you to yet another very interesting episode. Recently, a heart-wrenching video went viral showing accident victims rather, who were neglected for several minutes. That video once again circulated on social media, sparked widespread outrage. But more importantly, it opened that conversation we've been having for several years now around the systemic failures in our medical emergency response and broader healthcare infrastructure. Today we ask difficult but necessary questions. Why are emergency victims being neglected? Are our hospitals not equipped? Because that video also showed how the staff, medical personnel, were saying we do not have gloves. What are those necessary things in the medical or hospitals, clinics that should cater for these people? As you already know, when we talk about medical reforms in Nigeria, you know the guests, our regular, who is an advocate for Nigerian healthcare sector reforms, Dr. Douglas Emeka Oko. Did I pronounce it better this time? Oko, right. Dr. Douglas Emeka Oko, consultant neurosurgeon. Thank you so much for being part of the program.
Thank you so much, Joy, and thank you, Aso Radio and TV, for having me. Always a pleasure.
I mean, we've had this conversation over and over. Like you always say, talking about the Nigerian medical reforms is a no-brainer. In fact, at this point, it's like we're overflowing. But why do you think we keep having these incidences? Just 2 years ago, is it up to 2 years, where attention was drawn to the young lady who died at the Maitama General Hospital, allegedly from neglect. And here again, FMC we're having this video.
It's in the eye of the storm, basically.
FMC is in the eye of the storm, where this is what really happens. The only difference is the gentleman who brought these people had a camera and recorded what a patient's face. When you saw that video, first of all, how did you feel?
So first of all, let me start by saying this, Joy. Another sensational episode again. Okay? So the question is this sensational episode now that everybody's talking about, is it going to be an opportunity for us to reflect again and actually start putting our muscle to what we need to do within our healthcare space? Or is it going to be like every other sensational episode where it just comes on and then within a couple of weeks and everybody forgets it again? Guess what? Some key people have actually jumped on it. Even Very Dark Man jumped on it. I gather Linda Ikeji's blog was on top of it as well and stuff like that. So my key question here, or my key issue is that, is this just going to be just this sensational episode where we talk, everybody has their own opinions and stuff, and then it fizzles away? Or are we going to use this as a country, as a people, as a template to actually start doing what we properly need to do? One of the things I always say is that we need to think right, act right, and spend right. So I will start with Federal Medical Center Abuja. I can say from my own perception, okay, of course, we need objective analysis in terms of things like surveys and what we call benchmarking, okay? I can say that Federal Medical Center, comparatively, looking at most of the tertiary hospitals in Nigeria, is leading in terms of services. Okay, I can say it's leading that, of course. But
in spite of that, I mean, a lot of people watching you right now and saying, in spite of the video we just saw.
So let me put this caveat. I'm actually a consultant in the Federal Medical Center Abuja myself.
Good.
Okay, so it might be like, oh, maybe it's because it's there. So I'm saying I put it out there that when comparatively, okay, when you look at other tertiary hospitals in Nigeria, there are many of them. All the states have at least one each of tertiary hospitals. FMC is leading. You understand? That's my own perception. Of course, when you talk of investigative journalism as well, people can actually go and do their own surveys and do their own assessments and analysis. Okay, but clearly, is there more work to be done? Of course, there is. Okay, now to the video. Okay, I've looked on social media and stuff. I've looked at different responses to it. Okay, there's a tendency from the people, the healthcare professionals. Okay, there's a tendency maybe a little bit defensive, or how they come and attack us like that and stuff like that. Okay, from the non-medical people, the average citizens and stuff like that, they're like, well, what kind of things? These people are wicked, a lack of empathy and stuff like that. Now, specifically with respect to that video, I'm not going to make any comment about it, about that video. Okay?
Why not? First of all, I would like to know, is it because you're a consultant?
No, I will tell you why. Because the Federal Medical Center Abuja management themselves have put out just a preliminary response regarding that video. And what they've said is that they are going to do investigation and come out, actually tell the public. So I will wait for that. So that final response after the whatever, before I actually make any comment.
Okay, so let's talk about the
I suspect that there will be a tendency for many people to look at the video and say, oh, there was probably a lack of empathy there. But we'll wait for whatever whatever the management of that hospital, whatever they come out with after there. So I'll wait for that. So key issues here. Key issues. Okay. One of the things I've said for a very long time, Joe, is that we are struggling with our healthcare system. Now, many of the sectors and systems within Nigeria are broken. Specifically, the healthcare system, we have a broken healthcare system that needs fixing. Okay, so I quarrel with the tendency for us to focus more on the symptoms of a more foundational problem. Okay, that is playing to the gallery. Okay, that's why I started by saying, so this sensational episode that everybody is now, everybody is
I know that the last time that I even had to attend a town hall organized by the Committee on Health, where they were probing. The Minister of the FCT had another committee to probe what went on. Are we going back there again?
So I said, think right, act right, and spend right. Okay, so the thinking is, what is the philosophy that is guiding the way we act as human beings in this part of the world, Nigeria specifically? Okay, so I'll bring a couple of things out. Okay, so there's the coastal highway, Lagos to Calabar coastal highway. Okay, so there's the National Assembly members at some point bought this is a SUV for each of them. There's the 21 billion that was spent on the vice president's house. There's Yacht, I don't know whether that's true or not. There's the new plane for aircraft for the president. Okay, so there's most of all the flyovers. You're saying in Abuja itself, flyovers, building this and that and stuff like that. Now I would say those things, those infrastructure, they are very important. It's important that we do them. But philosophy, prioritizing, okay, what is it? We have limited resources, isn't it? So when we look at everything, and looking at the sustainable development goals, that healthcare is number 3, okay? All these very important things I've talked about that they've actually spent money on and stuff like that. So I guess as Nigerians, as citizens, you need to ask, okay,
which should go where?
Let's jump now into healthcare specifically. Okay, so there's healthcare generally, which we talked about a lot. Now let's go down, because what was this video about? It was about emergency care and emergency response, isn't it? Now, within a healthcare facility, especially the secondary level and tertiary level facility. So secondary level is usually state governments. Right. Tertiary level is federal government, okay, which is under the umbrella of the Federal Ministry of Health. Federal Medical Center is it's under the Federal Medical Ministry. It's a tertiary hospital, a federal tertiary, and it's a public hospital. So I said it before that we have a broken healthcare system, especially the public hospital. Okay, now when you talk of delivering emergency services, there's a spectrum, okay, of how you actually deliver that. So let's use real life examples. Okay, a carpenter falls from doing some work on a height, falls down. Okay, someone has an accident. Someone in the community has a heart attack, chest pain, falls down. Someone has an asthmatic attack, can't breathe and stuff like that. These are all emergencies happening in the community, isn't it? So in a place, in an environment where they understand the importance of emergency care, okay, there's what they call pre-hospital care, okay, from the community getting to the hospital. Okay, so the question I throw out to Nigerian citizens, do you think your pre-hospital care is adequate?
Where we have paramedics and
where you have ambulances and stuff like that. So that is not there. Okay, so the question is, my question to the average Nigerian, to the Nigerian, what are your expectations? Are you expecting that the pre-hospital care, which is practically non-existent, you understand, is broken? Okay, so you're expecting that, okay, this some good Samaritan, nice work, carry that patient in his car, the back of the car, the patient's head is dangling like that. You understand? Now he now gets to a facility in Nigeria, a public hospital facilities that are generally broken down in Nigeria. So what is the expectation of the Nigerian? Are you expecting that this part of the spectrum is bad, but this one is going to be very, very good?
You are recording. Naturally not.
Okay, so if we all agree that we have a broken system across board, it's just that okay, what we feel, because like I said, I'm not going to comment on that video. Let me wait for the.
But I can't help it, Dr. Oko.
Yeah.
I mean, I am a journalist. If news breaks now, there's that response, there's that need to break the news as it happens. And so I don't want news to break and people do not get to understand what's going on, because I mean, the principles of journalism, there's so much that can happen. It will cause chaos if people do not have the right information. We did not see that sense of that response necessary.
The management of those has actually brought out the preliminary response. They brought out the response, and it is the duty of the management of that hospital to actually do their investigations. You can't do knee-jerk stuff. You must do your investigations and come back. They will come back to the public. So we await that. Okay.
What do you think best case scenario for this investigation would be? That we do not see that response we thought.
I think instead of playing to the garden and getting carried away,
I'm not trying to
I'm not talking about you. I think we should do more foundational. So that's where I'm coming to. Okay, we have a broken healthcare system, specifically an emergency care service system that does not work across board. Okay, it doesn't work. We are not prioritizing and mainstreaming our funds and our finances that are limited, okay, to what is actually important in terms of priority. And that's a major problem. Okay, when it comes to national consciousness, national culture, organizational culture, when you actually break down and stuff like that,
exactly.
You need nowadays I call them office holders. We need office holders to now be leaders. There's a difference between holding an office and being a leader. Okay, and when it comes to organizational change, national consciousness change, and stuff like that, you need modeling by leadership. Okay, another key problem is one of the things I see is that we are expecting that when you go into a ministry, department, agency, a hospital, a facility, or whatever and stuff like that, you're expecting the average person there to use his church mind. Do you understand? Oh, be good now, be good and stuff like that. But whether you like it or not, there's a modeling from the top. Okay, the average Nigerian is looking at their office holders. Say, okay, how are office holders behaving? Okay,
Dr. Ko, I would like to also address something. I mean, when shortly after the nomination of the Minister of Health, you were ecstatic. You were so positive as to the kind of reforms that he was talking about, and you said it was going to trickle down. It's going to be a dominoes effect. It will go from top, bottom, top. You expect?
No. I remember what I said. I remember what I said. So
you were very optimistic. And there was absolutely no.
The videos are there. I remember what I said very clearly. So first of all, when Mohammed Ali Patti, Professor Abdullahi, when he was made the minister, I stated that look at his credentials.
Beyond credentials.
Wait. Look at his credentials. Right. Look at what I feel his capacity is and stuff like that. And I said one thing very clearly. I said he needs courage.
I remember that.
Yes, I said that very clearly. So that was the first thing. Then we had another discussion again when they actually launched their renewal and whatever. So, and I was really happy and said, oh, can you imagine the president was there and everything? All the key stakeholders, they sat down, okay, and they went, and I was excited. And now when they say, but the devil is in the detail. We will wait and see what happens next. I said that very clearly.
You did?
Yeah, I said that very, very, very clearly. So I said, we will wait and see. So far, am I impressed? Okay, maybe from a federal Ministry of Health point of view, maybe there's stuff they are doing, but is it really trickling now? Is it impacting? Big questions. So, but down back to looking at how we actually use this as an opportunity. Okay, instead of it just being these sensational episode and stuff that we'll forget in 2 weeks' time and stuff like that. So I want a situation where all the key players, starting from the federal Ministry of Health as the federal government and the state Ministry of Health as in state governments and stuff like that, we need to start looking at just how we are actually looking at where we are putting our monies. Think right, act right, and spend right. Very, very important. So key thing, there are a couple of hot spots within a healthcare facility. Hot spots. Okay, now I'm going to talk about a couple, at least mainly 3 of them, from the hottest downwards.
So we're really running out of time, so I would like you to just run through.
Hotspots include the accident and emergency, or the medical emergency, the labor ward, and the critical care, the what we call the intensive care unit. Now, for the emergency, for emergency care, okay, it is a high tension environment where there's urgency. You have people who are coming in with life-threatening problems. Okay, there's unpredictability as well. Okay, they are coming in with different kind of things. It's not like, oh, it's only one particular kind of specialty. They are coming in with different things. There's lots of emotions. There are people who are in pain, trauma, right? Family members and stuff like that. So what does that mean? That means you need to actually make sure that you put resources in that place. The place must have the appropriate capacity and capabilities. Okay, you must have the human beings, the health, what do you call it, human resource for health, what I call health workforce. I always talk about health workforce optimization.
Right.
You must have the appropriate numbers. They must be well training, and staffing is extremely important. Extremely important. You cannot just employ people and say, just stay there and stuff like that. And what I'm saying is that all these strategies and these policies, the funding, the governance and stuff must come from the top down. It's not an issue of because this one has gone viral now and stuff like that. Everybody now, everybody, it's not essential now that people now play politics with it and stuff like that. Again, it is an opportunity. I hope that the different levels within our space, looking at healthcare, looking at governance, looking at the organizations themselves, because I'm telling you, whatever we feel, if that's the perception of the general public, that there was lack of empathy and so forth, I'm telling you, it's happening across board.
Exactly.
Across board, all around the country. Now, the other key thing is that you look at ministries, departments, agencies, public sector organizations, stuff like that. And the question I ask the average Nigerian, when you go into these places, what kind of service do you actually get across board? Why are you expecting healthcare to be different on an average? Okay, but it can be different. Okay, it will only be different when you put in the resources to make it different. Because and when you do the work to actually make it different.
Doc, we really have run out of time. I wish we could discuss this even more, because I mean, for you who studied abroad and had worked across other parts of the world, I'm sure it's frustrating for you. That will be a story for another day, but we would definitely bring you back so we have a more robust conversation around Nigerian healthcare sector reform that you are an ardent advocate for. Thank you so much for your insights.
Like I always say, the Nigerian patients are worth it.
Yes, the Nigerian patients are worth it. The Nigerian patients are worth it. We've been discussing with Dr. Douglas Emeka Oko, a consultant neurosurgeon. Thank you again. Sustainability Pulse with Ebaide is coming up right next. Remember, we talk about climate change, environmental adaptability, climate financing, and everything in between. Ebaide is standing by. We'll be right back after that.
Africa stands at the front lines of the climate crisis. Over 600 million Africans still lack access to electricity. 1 in 3 face food insecurity due to climate-induced droughts and floods. By 2050, over 100 million people on the continent could be pushed into extreme poverty because of climate change. Plastic waste is piling, forests are vanishing, coastal cities are sinking. Yet, we are not powerless. Africa is also the youngest continent with 60% of its population under 25. We hold the energy, innovation, and drive to reshape the future. From solar-powered villages to bold climate tech, from green entrepreneurs to eco-warriors in slums and cities, the pulse of sustainability is rising. This is Sustainability Pulse with Ebaide, the show where truth meets urgency and action meets hope. Together, we decode the data, amplify the change makers, and reclaim Africa's future, one story at a time. This is not just a show, it is a movement. Welcome to The Pulse. Africa stands at the front lines of the climate crisis. Over 600 million Africans still lack access to electricity. 1 in 3 face food insecurity due to climate-induced droughts and floods. By 2050, over 100 million people on the continent could be pushed into extreme poverty because of climate change. Plastic waste is piling, forests are vanishing, coastal cities are sinking. Yet, we are not powerless. Africa is also the youngest continent with 60% of its population under 25. We hold the energy, innovation, and drive to reshape the future. From solar-powered villages to bold climate tech, from green entrepreneurs to eco-warriors in slums and cities, the pulse of sustainability is rising. This is Sustainability Pulse with Ebaide, the show where truth meets urgency and action meets hope. Together, we decode the data, amplify the change makers, and reclaim Africa's future, one story at a time. This is not just a show, it is a movement. Welcome to The Pulse. Africa stands at the front lines of the climate crisis. Over 600 million Africans still lack access to electricity. 1 in 3 face food insecurity due to climate-induced droughts and floods. By 2050, over 100 million people on the continent could be pushed into extreme poverty because of climate change.
Hello and welcome to Sustainability Pulse with Ebaide, your weekly pulse check on climate action, environmental justice, and sustainable living across Africa and beyond. I am your host, Ebaide, and this month of June, as the world commemorates World Environment Day, we are joining the global chorus to beat plastic pollution. In this special episode, we would go deep into global plastic crisis, spotlight African innovation, and examine the urgency of collective action. Now, we would have series of episodes across this month of June, which is actually to commemorate the World Environment Month, and we would have conversations across various aspects. On today's episode, we are starting where it all begins, with packaging, specifically from plastic to purpose, the future of circular packaging in Africa. Now, we'll go on a very short break, and when we return, we shall have a proper deep dive. Please stay with us and do not go anywhere. Welcome back from that short break. Now, here's a staggering number to start with. 430 million tons. That's how much plastic we produce every single year globally, according to the United Nations Environment Program. And about 2/3 of that becomes waste within months, clogging drains, filling landfills, drifting through oceans, or more often in Africa, burned in open dumps or left unmanaged. In various neighborhoods, you see these things, and they form a major problem. Now, take a moment to think about your last meal, your last online order, your last supermarket visit. Plastic is almost always part of that story. You would agree with me. In our cities, we see the evidence daily. In Lagos, in Accra, in Nairobi, gutters overflowing with sachet water wrappers. In fishing communities, coastlines littered with plastic debris. In landlocked rural towns, open burning releasing toxins into the air. But here's the thing. Beyond the grim numbers lies a story of hope, and it's called circular packaging. Today, we explore how African innovators, industries, and policymakers are flipping the script. Instead of seeing plastic as trash, they are turning it into opportunity, from waste to wealth, from pollution to purpose. Now, let's quickly run through some of the most important global and African headlines around the world. And these are headlines around plastics and packaging. Let's just see what's going on and get ourselves very attuned with global trends. Now, Global Plastics Treaty. The United Nations Environment Program continues to lead negotiations towards a legally binding global treaties targeted at 2025. Now, if this plastic treaty is passed, it means that countries would have to be bound by it. Now, countries are pushing for strong, enforceable measures to limit plastic production and promote circularity. That is a good one. Imagine we have a binding, treaty to manage plastic from production to design to disposal. The entire circularity is being managed and controlled. Now, Ghana has launched national guidelines to accelerate the transition to biodegradable and compostable packaging. It's a bold step towards ending single-use plastic pollution. Now, according to the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, circular packaging models could reduce global plastic demand by 30%, cut emissions down significantly, and create over 700,000 jobs by 2030. We can't be left behind. Africa is not just a victim in this crisis. We are also part of the solution. We will go on a short break and return to give more insights and let you all know where we are at the moment and what needs to be done.
So I was thinking,
Africa stands at the front lines of the climate crisis. Over 600 million Africans still lack access to electricity. 1 in 3 face food insecurity due to climate-induced droughts and floods. By 2050, over 100 million people on the continent could be pushed into extreme poverty because of climate change. Plastic waste is piling, forests are vanishing, coastal cities are sinking. Yet, we are not powerless. Africa is also the youngest continent with 60% of its population under 25. We hold the energy, innovation, and drive to reshape the future. From solar-powered villages to bold climate tech, from green entrepreneurs to eco-warriors in slums and cities, the pulse of sustainability is rising. This is Sustainability Pulse with Ebaide, the show where truth meets urgency and action meets hope. Together, we decode the data, amplify the change makers, and reclaim Africa's future, one story at a time. This is not just a show, it is a movement. Welcome to the Pulse. Africa stands at the front lines of the climate crisis. Over 600 million Africans still lack access to electricity. 1 in 3.
Is someone in the crowd the only thing you really see? Watching while the world keeps spinning around.
Green Squad!
Silence is a
Piggy back! Green Squad leads the way!
gonna be
Congratulations!
somewhere that's just waiting to be found.
Welcome back from the break, and here is the ask. So what exactly is circular packaging? At its core, circular packaging is about designing out waste. Unlike the traditional take, make, disposal model, this is linear. Circular packaging is created with reuse, recycling, or biodegradability in mind from the very beginning. It follows a closed loop: production, consumption, collection, recycling or reuse, new product creation. Now let's break it down with 3 incredible African case studies. Now, Recyclan in Lagos and even EcoBata in Abuja. Now, these Lagos and Abuja-based companies partner with waste pickers to collect plastic bottles and turn them into food-grade recycled PETs and a lot of other things. You know, that's packaging you can safely eat from, made from old waste. They are tackling 2 problems: pollution and unemployment. EcoPlastile in Uganda collects plastic waste and recycles into plastic lumber and bricks used for construction. Not only do they prevent plastic from ending up in the environment, they also reduce deforestation by offering alternatives to wood. The Takataka Solutions in Kenya, in Nairobi, they provide a full cycle waste management service. They collect, sort, compost, and recover plastic packaging, reintegrating materials back into production lines. These businesses aren't just doing good, they are showing us that sustainability is profitable. Now, let's talk about why industries must act now. Across Africa, a new generation of consumers is asking tough questions. Is your packaging recyclable? Do you use virgin plastics? Are you greenwashing or genuinely sustainable? Consumer pressure is rising, but that's not all. Regulations are tightening globally and nationally. I mentioned the plastic treaty as well. And companies fail to adapt with, we actually face high costs, penalties, and loss of market trust. Still, the challenges are real. Small-scale recyclers often lack access to finance, which is true. Infrastructure to collect and process plastic waste is limited in many cities. And while some policies exist, incentives are weak or unclear. Now, to scale circular packaging in Africa, we need to do some very clear cut-out exercise. 1, clear policy frameworks. I'll explain. Accessible green finance, investment in infrastructure, collaboration between governments, businesses, and communities. Let me just break it down so that we understand where we're coming from and what we need to do. Now, clear policy frameworks, and what does it mean really? Governments must create and enforce laws that guide how packaging is designed, used, collected, and recycled. These policies should be predictable, supportive of innovation, and tailored to local realities. Why does this matter? Without clear policies, companies don't know what's expected, and informal sectors often dominate without accountability or structure. For example, Rwanda's plastic ban and, of course, Lagos plastic ban, these are things that happen. This is when government takes charge. Rwanda is a clear leader on the continent right now, since banning single-use since 2008. I was in Rwanda in 2021, and I must tell you that as you're buying something in a Rwandan shop, right in the heart of Kigali, you are paying for a shopping bag. The same experience we experience when we go to the United States or the United Kingdom and we have to pay for a shopping bag happens in Rwanda. And this has been since 2008. I experienced it in 2021. The country has created clear laws that encourage biodegradable alternatives and penalize non-compliance. Now, what's the result? You have cleaner cities and a rise in eco-packaging businesses. South Africa's EPR regulation in 2001 introduced extended producer responsibility regulations, which actually requires producers to take responsibility for the life cycle of their packaging. You can imagine as you're producing, you are taking responsibility from design to disposal. So companies must now fund or manage collection and recycling, making circular packaging more attractive. Just think of that. Now, accessible green finance, what does this mean really? Circular businesses, especially startups and small recyclers, they need funding to scale. Green finance refers to the loans, grants, or investments specifically allocated to environmental sustainable initiatives. Now, why does this matter? Why does it matter, you ask yourself? Many promising innovations die in the lab or in the streets because of lack of capital. Big corporations might adapt, but smaller players who are often closer to the problem struggle to access funds, which is the truth. And that's why, like I announced on Monday, the Ebadaiki Initiative, TER, is putting out a small grant of $1,000. Come up with innovative ways to cut plastic pollution. Let's see how innovative you are with plastic. Share a video. Share a video about it. Talk about it. Let's see you in action. You're young, you're African, you have $1,000 up for grabs. In Kenya today, there's a struggle. There was this company in Kenya, there was a struggle at the early days, turning plastic waste into fencing posts due to limited capital. But hey, once they received support from climate finance programs and green investors, they scaled. Production went, at an all-time high. It also created jobs and diverted tons of plastic waste from landfills. So there's actually a lot to be done. And of course, we have institutions like the African Development Bank, we have the Green Climate Funds, and I begin to create funding windows for waste to wealth initiatives. But access remains limited and complex. We need simpler, localized funding options. Make it simple, make it more accessible. Investment in infrastructure, what does this mean actually? Infrastructure includes the systems and facilities needed to collect, sort, process, and reuse packaging materials. This also includes, public waste bins, recycling centers, transportation logistics, and digital tracking systems. Why does this matter, you ask yourself? Even if packaging is recyclable, without infrastructure to support that recycling, it ends up in the environment. Most African cities lack basic waste collection systems, let alone circular processing facilities. It's quite interesting to know that, the Takataka Solutions in Kenya built their own sorting and composting facilities in Nairobi because there was no municipal support. But this private investment now serves over 10,000 households and businesses. Lagos State Waste Management Authority, LOMA, has partnered with recyclers to create a drop-off hub. But more investments are needed to cover growing urban populations and hard-to-reach communities. The truth is, collaboration between governments and businesses and communities would have to happen. It must happen. The circular economy cannot thrive in silos. No. Governments must set rules. Businesses provide innovation. And communities are both the consumers and informal waste workers. Collaboration means engaging all actors in designing solutions that are inclusive and scalable. All hands need to be on deck. And why does this matter? Why does this matter? You ask yourself that question. Or I will ask myself, you would ask yourself that question as well. When these actors work in isolation, efforts clash or fall flat. A community may collect plastic, but if businesses don't buy back the waste, or if governments don't incentivize reuse, the cycle breaks. For example, Nigeria's food and beverage brings together major companies like Coca-Cola, Nestle, Guinness, a lot of them. you know, bring them together to build a shared infrastructure for PET bottle recovery and recycling. Just imagine that happening in a larger, more visible scale. In Uganda, Ecoplastic works with schools. Ecoplastal, yeah, they work with schools and communities to gather plastic waste while providing education income. A full circle approach that combines environmental action with social impact. To be very honest, let's tell ourselves the truth. To truly scale circular packaging in Africa, we need clear laws, clear regulations that guide packaging choices and punish polluters. I was at an interview yesterday, and I did say that over time we have noticed that when our regulations or our laws come with strict punitive measures, stringent rules, people tend to sit up. And you would agree with me that when there are rules with consequences, there are laws with actual consequences, people tend to sit up. Now, finance to support innovators and recyclers, really. Physical systems that enable collection and reuse. You know, partners that include informal sector and amplify everyone's strength. Now, we can go on and on and on and on about these things, but the truth is, we cannot stop talking about it. We can't and should not stop talking about it. I told you what we did, what CEI did. You know, the education aspect of this whole conversation has been taken to schools. We now have green squads being inaugurated in schools. We have young people championing the cause, driving the conversation, going to the classrooms, going to the school environment. And beyond the school, our hope is they take it to their homes, their churches, to their friends, their family members to talk about this. And that's the whole idea of getting them young. We're going a very short break now, and when we come back, we'll do a simple recap and our final tip, and we call it a morning.
Face food insecurity due to climate-induced droughts and floods. By 2050, over 100 million people on the continent could be pushed into extreme poverty because of climate change. Plastic waste is piling, forests are vanishing, coastal cities are sinking. Yet, we are not powerless. Africa is also the youngest continent with 60% of its population under 25. We hold the energy, innovation, and drive to reshape the future. From solar-powered villages to bold climate tech, from green entrepreneurs to eco-warriors in slums and cities, the pulse of sustainability is rising. This is Sustainability Pulse with Ebaide, the show where truth meets urgency and action meets hope. Together, we decode the data, amplify the change makers, and reclaim Africa's future one story at a time. This is not just a show, it is a movement. Welcome to the Pulse.
Welcome back. Now, you have heard everything I spoke about just before we went on the break. And this week's sustainability tip is simple yet impactful. Now, choose refillable products or shop from bulk stores. We say it all the time. By all means, reuse. Support brands using biodegradable, recycled, or reusable packaging. Every time you buy something, you cast a vote for the kind of planet you want to live in. Imagine your daily habits. Your actions every minute depends on how you want your planet to be like. Now, let's end on this note. Plastic isn't inherently evil. Not at all. We're not saying it is bad. It is how we produce, use, and discard that truly matters. If we rethink the end life of the products we use, we're not just saving the environment. We are building an economy that regenerates rather than pollutes. Circularity isn't the future. It's the now. So whether you are a business owner, a policymaker, or a conscious shopper, you have a role to play. Reduce, rethink, reuse, support innovation, demand better packaging, and remember, you as a consumer have the power. Use it wisely. And do not forget our daily tip all the time we come on air. By all means, you have to be innovative with the things you have around you. Your fast fashion, your old clothes, turn them into shopping bags. Turn them into shopping reusable bags. And when you're going to the mall, you're going to the market, go with that reusable bag you have sewn from your old clothes. When you're done, you wash it. As simple as that. Have a water bottle. Have a dispenser in your home. You don't have to buy bottles. Even if you're going to buy bottles, crates of water, ensure that you're disposing correctly. That bottle after use will be sent to the right channel, disposed appropriately. That's how we can be responsible consumers, you know. And don't forget, living sustainably is you saving your own life. Being responsible and being guardians of the earth is you taking responsibility for your own life, your own health. Do not take it away. Do not water it down. Every action you take, every minute, is how you want the planet to be. And that's it for today's episode of Sustainability Pulse with Abide. Don't forget to share this episode. Follow us on all our social media handles at TEI Advocacy, TEI_advocacy, and continue to be part of that solution. Together, let's beat plastic pollution. Until next time, stay conscious, stay committed, and keep your pulse on sustainability. Be conscious, speak up. Do not just allow it go away because it's not your business. It is your business. It is our business. And don't forget to tune in here every Monday and Wednesday by 9 a.m. on Aso TV, DSTV channel 392, where we feel the pulse, remind you, guide you, inform you on how best to live sustainable. Until next time, I made your host, Abide, and thank you for watching. Until next time, have a blessed weekend ahead. Sustainability is the key.
In the heart of our fields lies the future of agriculture, sustainable, innovative, and powered by smart solutions. From the rich soil of Africa to high-tech farms around the globe, agriculture is evolving to meet the demands of tomorrow. At the intersection of tradition and technology, we discover smarter ways to grow more, waste less, and harvest greener. Together, we are cultivating a future where every harvest sustains the earth and its people. Join us 9:30 a.m. Monday to Fridays on Aso TV, channel 392 DSTV, Star Times, channel 127, or YouTube livestream GSA Initiative. Agriculture for today and tomorrow, as we share groundbreaking ideas, empowering farmers, and celebrate greenhouse solutions. Together, let's grow the future. In the heart of our fields lies the future of agriculture, sustainable, innovative, and powered by smart solutions.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we would realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity.
In the heart of our fields lies the future of agriculture, sustainable, innovative, and powered by smart solutions. From the rich soil of Africa to high-tech farms around the globe, agriculture is evolving to meet the demands of tomorrow. At the intersection of tradition and technology, we discover smarter ways to grow more, waste less, and harvest greener. Together, we are cultivating a future where every harvest sustains the earth and its people. Join us 9:30 a.m. Monday to Fridays on Aso TV, channel 392 DSTV, Star Times, channel 127, or YouTube live stream GSA Initiative. Agriculture for today and tomorrow, as we share groundbreaking ideas, empowering farmers, and celebrate greener solutions. Together, let's grow the future.
Good morning and welcome to another episode of Agriculture for Today and Tomorrow. Here we promote smart solutions for greener harvest. And remember, this is a media for agricultural production, fully sponsored by Growth for Sustainable Agriculture Initiative, an NGO focused on supporting African farmers to adopt sustainable agricultural practices. It's a beautiful time to be on your show this morning, and today we are going to be discussing something very, very critical. We are going to be doing an analysis of the President's declaration on agriculture, where shortly after he was sworn into office, I think barely 1 month or so, he declared a state of emergency on the agricultural sector. And this had us seeing a change in the name of the ministry. One of the things he did in that state of emergency was changing the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development to Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. And then there was a whole lot of rejigging, and in fact recently we now have a well-established Federal Ministry of Livestock Development. All these activities that have been carried out from that declaration until now, we want to do a farmer's perspective analysis. How has that declaration turned into, how has that declaration come out to result? What have farmers actually felt the benefits or the activities from that declaration? And I'm not going to be having that conversation alone. We have a very astute guest with us today that will be having that conversation. And yes, he is a man wearing many caps. You would soon get to find out. So let me just quickly introduce our guest today. He is Engineer Ernest Ntuk. Engineer Ernest Ntuk is a farmer and CEO of Faringimba Rice, where he cultivates and mills rice in Kaduna State. He is also an environmentalist and a real estate developer. Wow. Mr. Ernest, Engineer Ernest, it's nice to have you on the show.
Nice to have you too. Thank
wow.
You
so you see from your name down to your introduction, you're an engineer. But I'm very certain that is by academic background, and I'm sure you're practicing too. And then you're a farmer and CEO of Faringimba Rice. Tell us about Faringimba Rice. Tell us about your farm exploit and why you left, if you have left engineering.
Yeah, Faringimba Rice, it's by the name Faringimba. It's an upland rice.
Okay.
And we have been cultivating in some parts of Kaduna and Kogi states, and also from Taraba, where we get paddies from.
Okay.
When we mill in Sulija.
Oh, okay.
So you can see we are in Abuja, in Buari.
Okay.
Then we're in Kaduna, we're in Kachia, we're in Kagariko,
Wow.
we're in Ida, and we're in Kogi, and in Taraba we'll get paddy from there, and then we process our rice at Sulija.
Okay.
And it's been beautiful growing upland rice because it's the kind of rice that you can grow for all
Seasons, yes,
yeah.
yes.
And the government has done excellently well by ensuring that most of us smallholder farmers have access to land and have access to some good things that would help us. But of course, Mr. President declaring a state of emergency on...
Sorry, let me cut you there. We will get into that. In fact, I'm already thinking if you're the right man for this, because it seems you're already positively favored factor to the government and its interventions. But yes, we will go into that. We just wanted to establish your authority as a farmer and also understand how you navigate, because you know currently in the current climate, so many people feel that farming is a dirty man's job. So if you went to school, you got your title as an engineer, you are a real estate developer, you're an environmentalist and all of that. Why agriculture? Why are you in the farming business? You're not just milling rice, you're actually farming rice. So why are you in that business?
Well, agriculture today is new money. It has always been there. It has always been there. And I picked a particular interest in agriculture because, of course, feeding is a constant, and rice is a stable food for everyone in Nigeria and as well around the entire world. So anyone who picks up an investment in the cultivation or milling of rice is definitely going to make an A on the return on investment.
Wow.
So I'm a businessman and I'm also an agri-entrepreneur, and away from processing, I find myself within the agricultural food chain where I do a lot more within production as well.
Okay.
So, but when you mentioned trying to navigate, it's like I'm a farmer in the morning, at night I'm a real estate developer.
that's quite interesting. So yes, we are going to be going into. So I needed to establish your authority as a farmer, and let us know what exactly you do, and that's fine. And then, so the topic of today's conversation is going to be the President's declaration of state of emergency on agriculture. How far so far? The farmer's perspective. And let me also say this is going to be a two-part conversation, because we are going to be analyzing all the different we're going to be analyzing each of the immediate action steps that he had declared and see how far so far. But before we go into that, we are going to take a short break, and when we are back, we analyze each of the immediate action steps of the state of emergency declaration. See you after the break.
In the heart of our fields lies the future of agriculture, sustainable, innovative, and powered by smart solutions. From the rich soil of Africa to high-tech farms around the globe, agriculture is evolving to meet the demands of tomorrow. At the intersection of tradition and technology, we discover smarter ways to grow more, waste less, and harvest greener. Together, we are cultivating a future where every harvest sustains the earth and its people. Join us 9:30 a.m. Monday to Friday.
Hello, good morning, and welcome to another episode
of our fields lies the future of agriculture, sustainable, innovative, and powered by smart solutions. From the rich soil of Africa to high-tech farms.
Welcome back from that short break. I'm sure someone is excited and you're ready to listen and understand from the farmer's perspective the state of emergency declaration by the president. Basically, since his inception into office, this is 1 year plus now. How far so far from the farmer? Okay, so let's just go right into it. This is going to be a two-part conversation. So after this episode, because there were like 17 declarations, and we are going to maybe just deal with probably 7 or 8 today, and then in the next episode we will now continue the rest. So Engineer Ntuk, or Farmer Ntuk, pardon me to call you, because we are talking agricultural issues there. Sure, yeah. Yes, Farmer Ntuk. So the first and immediate action that the president had declared during his state of emergency, the next step of action was inclusion of food and water availability and affordability issues within the purview of the National Security Council. So this used to be in the purview of the Federal Executive Council, and he has now shifted it to the purview of the National Security Council. So the question is, yeah, I know from the farmer's perspective, but let us go a bit into the admin. Now, what's the relevance of that, and as a farmer, what have you seen as the benefit of moving food and water availability and affordability to the purview of the National Security Council?
Well, Mr. President, moving food and water into the Office of the National Security Advisor. Basically, you would see that insurgency has been striving and succeeding basically within the rural area, and that has been happening because the militias or the militants are always going after villages, and it's in those villages you find farmers who are actually cultivating. Cultivation lands are found in rural areas, and that's where the food basket is. That's where you have the farm gate. So insurgency goes after farmers, and it in turn affects food supply in the open market and also on our tables. Mr. President carefully thought it out and has pushed it from the National Executive Council to the Office of the National Security Advisor, so that it could be addressed as a security and a terrorist threat to not just farmers but the entire nation. Because of course, if militants should get hold of our water supply and our food supply, they could bring this country to our knees. And so it is beyond the executives looking at. It is something that is threatening the very fiber of our nation. If a criminal should take hold of your water supply in your house and then takes control of your kitchen, I'm sure within no distant time you surrender. So I guess this is the angle via which Mr. President is actually looking at things.
Interesting. So you believe that it was a step in the right direction,
yes, of course,
moving into the probably yes, and of course I think I want to agree with you, because there has been issues of security threats, and so many farms have been inhabitable now, uncultivatable, because of the challenges going on. So okay, so yeah, let's move. Like we said, it's a 17th step, and so we are talking from the farmers' angle.
Yeah.
Deployment of initiatives to reverse the inflationary trend and ensure future supplies of affordable food. 1 year, almost 8 months down the line. 1 year, 8 months down the line.
It's increasing.
Has there been a reverse in the inflationary trend?
Well, of course, policies on agriculture just started at the advent of Mr. President. And
did it?
Yes, of course.
There has been policies prior.
Yes, but of course we are looking at renewed hope policies.
Okay.
Now, of course, like you mentioned earlier, the change from Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development to Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security automatically defines what
the parameter
what we're actually looking at. And so we have to give it some time to begin to come up. The change from National Executive Council to the National NIA, it's also a change in the right direction, which complements this. Yes, it kind of complements it, because now you would begin to see, of course, in the coming days, you begin to see how things will change. For now, food price has stabilized.
Famantuk,
yes.
Let us say the president has your ears. What do you think would be done to? You say, sorry, your last statement said food prices have stabilized?
It's stabilized, yes. For some time now, it has actually stabilized. It's no longer going up.
Oh, okay.
So when we begin to see the harvest coming out, when we begin to see the implementations, of course, the setting up of an institution or a board to manage most of these items, most of these things that have been put in place, you begin to see them materialize.
Are they so this stability, which according to you is your perspective now, this stability, because I don't think I want to agree with the stability in food prices. Items are still going up. I'm yet to feel it yet, but probably I'm yet to feel it. But so the question is, this stability that you claim now, is it a direct result of the president's initiatives?
Well, of course, you would see what the army is actually doing currently in Baga. Baga was a very huge place for Nigerian fish. Yes, that's where a whole lot of Nigerian within the fishery industry, so to speak, was coming from Medjugorje. And the militants took over that particular area in Borno, and they held it captive. And when they were able to chase away the entire farmers, they began to do the fishing business and exporting it, and now Nigeria wasn't actually having fish to feed anymore. This is just an example. But with the policies of Mr. President aiming at what the NSA are actually doing now, you can see that farmers have returned back to Baga. farmers are returning back to rice farm. Of course, I have to speak on rice farming more often after
by all means,
this is my territory.
Yes.
So you see that our people are beginning to go back to farm because of security confidence. They've activated forest guard, and in some of our areas where we farm, like in Kachia, you will be there, and before you know it, you will not believe it. The forest guard will just come to you, saying hi to you, greeting you. That means now we are having that present. More people within the rural enclave has been incorporated into the security system, and basically they are working within the forest territory. So I think, yes, gradually most of those things will be seen.
Wow. Okay, so you believe that we are on the path to reversing the inflationary trend. Sure. Interesting, your perspective, and it's an interesting perspective. So the third action he mentioned was short-term strategy to use savings from fuel subsidy removal to revamp the agricultural sector.
Yes.
Have you, as a farmer, have you benefited, or do you know farmers that have benefited from some?
No. I wouldn't really say that there's been that impact reinvesting what has been collected from subsidy. I wouldn't really say that, because of course we are still buying pesticides at the rate that we're buying. We're still buying fertilizer, urea, for example, that we're using cultivating rice. It's still very expensive, and farmers should have access to this fertilizer, good seedlings at next to nothing prices, to show that there is a cushioning at the interim for farmers, which will in turn implement on the rising cost of food items. But we are not seeing that. The monopoly of fertilizer is still there. It's one person. So a lot of government should take that fund and invest into fertilizer manufacturing companies. Invite stakeholders within that sector to pick up these funds as maybe as a grant or as loan, to invest in pest control, invest in seedlings, invest in farm utensils, equipment. That way the farmer will be able to feel as, oh yes, we're having succor. And in turn, if the farmer finds fertilizer at an affordable rate, finds his equipment as an affordable rate, pesticides at an affordable rate, the outcome, the harvest of the farmer will in turn be sold at farm gate rates, even in the open market. Yes, so we can't really say on that we're actually feeling the impact of
not yet. Okay, so I think this is also a follow-up. Release of fertilizers and grains to farmers and households free as immediate intervention.
Honestly,
yes, please.
Yes, that should be done.
The question is between then, about 1 year plus into his government after that declaration, and now the question is, have you known any farmer that has received free fertilizer within your circle?
Well, in local government, of course, we saw fertilizers coming in, but they came in as donations from politicians. Yes, and they came in as donations through the party. Through political channels.
And you believe intervention from the federal government should not follow that route?
Well, of course, Mr. President has entrusted so much on the legislators as well as the executive.
Were the fertilizers that were received through the political route from the federal government?
Yes, of course, it was from federal government, but of course the politicians took glory for it.
Meaning that our agricultural interventions have been politicized?
No, I wouldn't really say that it has been politicized. But
because if any farmer that is not a member of that political party will not be privy to it. Were you privy to it?
No, I have no problem.
You've not.
I still buy my fertilizer.
Is it because you are not a member of the political party? we need to, Okay. Anyway, thank you. That's your perspective, though. Yes. That's your perspective, because, like we keep saying, we are trying to get a farmer's perspective into the effect. How far so far of this declaration?
Like I would like to say something on this particular one. If intentionally we want to be vengeful about the supply of fertilizers, seedlings, and more, I strongly believe that it should be given to capable hands, people within the industry. For example, if you intend to share fertilizer like urea, you should contact the leadership of Rayfan. Rayfan is the umbrella body that manages rice farmers in Nigeria. Yes, you should look at Nigerian commercial farmers as a body. These are bodies that are managing farmers, and then you entrust these things, and then you see that it would actually get to the bottom. It would actually get to the very farmer at home. But of course, when you see rice and fertilizers given to politicians as palliatives, they take it back home and then they take the glory for supplying this. And then what do you expect? A politician can only for once just represent a political party, and of course the supporters and people of that political party will be the beneficiaries of those things. And most of the times the beneficiaries of these items are not actually farmers, and so they take it and then intend to sell it to those who are farmers. So the cycle just keeps turning out, and the real farmers don't get to benefit directly.
Okay,
They don't have that direct impact.
I get your point, and then this is something that we need to also check, politicizing of these kind of interventions that come into the business, because of course, like you've mentioned, some of the beneficiaries are not necessarily
a close collabo, like you would mention. You need infrastructure, intentional infrastructure, bringing in water from the basin.
Of agriculture, sustainable, innovative, and powered by smart solutions. From the rich soil of Africa to high-tech farms around the globe, agriculture is evolving to meet the demands of tomorrow. At the intersection of tradition and technology, we discover smarter ways to grow more, waste less, and harvest greener. Together, we are cultivating a future where every harvest sustains the earth and its people.